Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Odyssey 2023 Global Sustainability. We will be doing an interview about one of our nominees of our jury special prize, Ashes. And it is a black and white, non-dialogue shot about two rival soldiers telling a story of when one is going to execute another. So we're here today with the writer, director of this amazing short, Daniel, and the executive producer, co-writer, and the cinematographer, Siwei Li. Welcome. And thank you so much for joining us. So may I just simply ask, could you please introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Yeah, my name is Daniel Egbert. As you said, I'm the writer-director of Ashes. I went to AFI with Siwei. We met there, but previously, I'll give you some backstory. I was in the military in the American Marine Corps infantry, and I found my way to filmmaking after that. And some of the things that I want to explore, I get to speak about and share with everyone. So. It's amazing that you're hosting this and having us, and I'm just very grateful. Thank you.
And Siwei?
Great, thank you for this chance. My name is Siwei. I'm a cinematographer based in Los Angeles and work between US and China. I met Daniel at AFI. We won AFI at this 2019, and it's been 5 years since we graduated, and yeah, time flies.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. 4 years and 5 years sounds like a very long time. So yeah. I'm genuinely interested about how do you two know each other at the first place? Just schoolmates?
Yeah. He went to the director discipline. I studied cinematography. We sometimes we have classes together, but at AFI we collaborate frequently between directors and cinematographers. Yeah.
In Siwei, we get to see each other's work, and as the director, I've always admired Siwei. He's a genius, I think, and so when he got this project going, I went for him because he's an incredible soul, an incredible human, an incredible artist. So,
all right. So you've been talking about it was like Siwei came to you at first place about the story. Is that right?
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
I guess I think it would be a question addressed to Siwei then. I actually curious why you want to produce a story about war at the first place.
Sure, yeah. In terms of war, I just remember, so basically this project it's like a cinematography thesis project that we were required to make in our second year, and it was required to shoot on film. And we, as cinematographers, came up ideas and pitched to directors. That's how I pitched it to Daniel. And in terms of war, I just remember we started having this idea and started writing the first treatment in the year of 2020. And I just remember I was in Los Angeles the whole time, and COVID broke out first in my home country, then here in the US. And all of a sudden I feel the world became so divided to me. There are so many controversies, so many became very hostile, very confrontational to each other. And there's a lot of hatred, arguments over the internet. And I really feel I was in the middle of a dilemma. And so a lot of the emotions or a lot of thoughts actually came about from COVID. But also war is a very obvious, like a confrontation theme that happened in the history, but also can seen as something we can learn from in the history and as a reference to today. So that's basically how it started. Yeah.
So Daniel, why would you like to direct this story at first place? Because you're so attracted by the storyline, or?
Yeah, when Siwei pitched it to me, it went through so many iterations. But ultimately it was a story about taking the power back. I've said that before, but it's a story about, and no matter what your situation is, you have the power. But the reason why I really took it on is because I thought that it was an interesting way to kind of speak about the things that I feel after having been through war. I've been through Iraq and Afghanistan, and from 2004 to 2011. So I've had years and years and years and years to process America's, response to 9/11, the nation's response, and how it affected the global scale, and kind of my voluntary part in it. And so with all that, I go after stories that kind of speak to what I want to say about the war, which is that, this is something that, should not be. But that's a longer conversation.
All right. So it is a story about one soldier is going to execute another. So since you two co-wrote this kind of the script and directed the film together in a way, I wonder how close is this story to your own experience since you've been into war?
So yeah, this is a World War II story. It takes place in Dresden. So it's very far removed from what I experienced as as a modern Iraq and Afghanistan veteran. But the emotions and the universal truths and every those things will span through all of the conflicts, all of the wars, and all that stuff. And this idea that there's these imaginary lines on the ground that everyone is fighting and dying and killing for, and at the front of those lines are young men and women, and that are just divided by these imaginary lines and sent to go after each other. So that's always, that's a truth across all the wars. Was there a second? Sorry, was there a second part of your question?
So, which is basically how close is the story, and not general, because of the background of it. I'm wondering, when you're in the war, is it common that you're experiencing stories like one soldier is going to execute another, but somehow he didn't?
No, not in today's wars. Yeah, this was these types of things were more common in different wars, but in today's wars, it's not never experienced anything like that. No. Yeah.
Perfect. Right. So how do you two work with each other when you're coming up with the script, or let's say the script, not the dialogue script, but how do you two work with each other when formulating the film together?
Yeah, I think. Do you want to go, see or you want me to go?
Yeah, I think I had a very early draft. It was like a treatment, and I pitched it to Daniel. And Daniel, when we were meeting for the first time, talking about this project, he just gave me so many possibilities, and he just let me foresee how this story could be. And I was really, really impressed by what he brought on the table. And during our collaboration, he's just this amazing human being, amazing director, who used all his skills as a director and a writer, and really helped me to achieve what the story was really about. Eventually on the paper became quite a different story than our first draft, but ended up being something I'm really feel truthful to my heart, and also proud of, eventually. Daniel, do you want to elaborate on that? I think the writing between us, it was really, really amazing.
Yeah. No, it was one of the most amazing collaborations I've ever had. It was we fought so hard to we had incredible restrictions against us. So we were shooting in the middle of COVID, but also this exercise, there's no dialogue allowed, no sound recorded, no like, and you only get 2,200 feet of film. So you 2,000, yeah, 2,000 feet of film, which ultimately results in just one take. Like we could only do pretty much one take of each thing. So there was incredible restrictions put on us. And me and Siwei, like you said, it was a different set of characters in the beginning and story. It was always set in war, and there was always something that Siwei wanted to serve, this theme or this idea. And we just fought so hard to figure out this one sentence of like, what is the truth? What is this story that we're trying to serve? And then once we figured out that sentence, we started to get more on track with how to bring it to life. But I mean, it was an incredible collaboration, maddening collaboration, because we cared so much and we wanted to make sure that every action on screen was justified. And it's really hard to do without dialogue, but it was a masterclass in story and directing and character, just being forced with these restrictions on us to create something like that.
Amazing. So what is the story really want to been searching? What you were really searching from the story?
What was the
the sentence you were trying to like serve like in this story?
Yeah. So we had it's a whole lot. So the sentence was what ended up being the log line of the film. An unlikely, oh man, it's been so long. An unlikely connection in war, and an unlikely connection. What is it? Seaway? Sorry, I'll put it up on IMDb. An unlikely connection. I got it. Hold on. But while Seaway's pulling it up on IMDb, it started with like it started with a professor in World War II, like an educator being captive by a Nazi or a German prisoner. I mean, a German guard, and it just started evolving into all these things. But ultimately, Seaway wanted to talk about what we agreed the logline, which was an unlikely human connection complicates a soldier's understanding of freedom. Right. So that was the ultimate like truth that we wanted to serve. That and everything that ends up on screen has to be showing that this soldier's understanding of freedom is compromised, because of all the conversations me and Seaway had about war and about how unjustified things and all this stuff. So yeah, and everything that countries are fighting over, and so yeah.
So what kind of freedom are we talking about like right now? Which is also, I believe, is also what the freedom was expressed by the film, I believe.
Yeah, I think that when I say that, like the freedom, I think what I was getting at was me and Seaway in that process spoke a lot about the great philosopher Epictetus, who was a slave. And he spoke a lot about freedom within the mind, freedom through the understanding of what we can and cannot control. So we always had this idea that the prisoner has this moment where he understands his fate and he can be shackled, but he possesses the ability to always be free philosophically. And when he chooses to smoke that imaginary cigarette and snuff it out, he chooses in a way to take the power back from the captor and end his life on his own terms when he's ready. And I think that act of like fierce defiance and acceptance is such a beautiful way of that causes the already like emotionally compromised German captors' foundations to falter, witnessing something so incredibly free and human. So it's just this idea that there are many freedoms, and maybe, I don't know, ultimately, maybe the ultimate freedom is not of the body, but of the mind, going back to Epictetus. You know, I don't know, but we kind of just spoke a lot about Epictetus and kind of his philosophical teachings.
Cool. So would you like to add anything about it?
Yeah, just 100%. I think we have this discussion long before, and it was also kind of inspired by some like social events, like modern events. We have this discussion over the prisoner of the country, of the like physical freedom, and also the freedom of mind. Basically what everything Daniel just touched on. Yeah, it was right on the point. Yeah.
Cool. And Daniel has been talking about, this is basically the scene that I love the best, which is when you're talking about imaginary cigarette. I'm curious about what the character was thinking when you're trying to, why does he do that? Why he decided to light up an imaginary cigarette and then just to put it out. I do find it's really, attractive, and I'm really intriguing about action.
Thank you so much. Yeah, there was so we're telling a story without dialogue. So we decided to lean into this one known fact, or known, maybe it's a cliche or something, that you get your last cigarette before you killed. And that's been in World War II movies and all these movies throughout history, is the last cigarette, right? So when this is a moment where the German captor, he comes up to the prisoner and he unshackles him and he offers him a cigarette, and then the prisoner knows what that means, that it's time, like it's finally, and he denies the cigarette. And then before he's about to die, he has this moment where he's processing all these things and everything, and he decides in that moment that, you know what, you can take my life, but you can't take this, and it's my mind and myself, my mental autonomy, and so he smokes his own cigarette. And however he wants to, and he has his last cigarette. I'm not taking yours, but I'll take mine. And he has his last moment with himself and with his thoughts and everything. And the guard gets to see that and witness that incredibly, human and unique, and probably, if I saw that would be shattering, act. And then, and he smokes it. And as we push in, he goes through the beats of, what he's feeling as he gets closer to ending it out. But then he snuffs out his own cigarette. So he snuffs it out and he stands and he's ready. So it's always been this idea of like, I won't take yours. You're not in control of my death. I'm in control of my death. When I finish my cigarette, not yours, you can kill me, whatever, because I'm choosing. So it's going back to that Epictetus, what you can and what you cannot control. And even though ultimately he's going to die by the gun of this captor, he's still choosing on his own terms how it's going to happen, taking his moment.
Is it what you've just describing about taking the power back? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
it means, yeah, okay. All right. So cool. Okay, so one of the basic questions would be, who made the decision of making the film non-dialogue?
It was a requirement, but we found it became one of those limitations that made us be really focused on visuals and how to tell the story visually. It was extremely challenging, as Daniel said, like 3 minutes, we have that limited amount of footage, and we always wanted to make a narrative piece. And with the amazing effort Daniel put into this structure of the story, I think it came out being like a 3-minute non-dialogue narrative, have like a very dramatic twist in the middle, which is really compelling, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was a masterclass trying to do no dialogue and try to make everything feel real and justified. That was part of it too, is we took 2 people that don't speak the same language. So like that was that was a part of it too, is that we to kind of justify a few things, that they had to speak in this way of body language. But I highly suggest that every filmmaker does this AFI exercise, because now it's how I make all my movies. Well, dialogue just goes in at the end if it's needed. And I try to make it everything, the blocking, and put all the story in the blocking, all the story in the devices and the props and all that stuff, and then dialogue if needed. So
is it the same reason that using black and white to shoot it, or is there another reason behind it?
let's see.
Something you like, personal style?
We started wanting to shoot color. We always knew that even in color it's gonna look really beautiful. But at some point, there's part of me that I've never shot black and white on film before, and it's more like a cinematography pursuit. But also, we will feel this is gonna help hide some imperfections on set, because it's a period piece and we have limited budget, and also it's just gonna feel a little bit more timeless. And we were referencing some like old war movies, where just in terms of the looks, I think there's some sort of pursuit that I want to try with this piece. So we ended up being black and white, and yeah, I didn't regret the decision. Yeah.
If there's enough time, would you like to make it in colors?
Probably still black and white. I just love how it turned out, and also I just think there's more simplicity in it in terms of this human connection, and I just focus much more on the performances. I feel it's more even like spiritual in a way, more timeless, I think. Yeah.
Cool. How do you find these two actors at first place? They were just schoolmates.
No, they're amazing. So we did a casting. So we looked when me and Seaway sat through hours and hours and hours of casting, more footage, and then casting, and met these people. And remember, there's no dialogue. So as a director, a lot of your tools to direct are not the same. And so the casting process in general turned out to be this amazing thing about like just trying to find who can access their vulnerabilities, and who can in different ways, and who can be vulnerable, and well, I just said that, but who can carry this inner life without any dialogue, right? So it was amazing, and we came upon these two people, Riley and Levi. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Riley and Levi, and they were just we just knew from all the people, we just knew instantly. They were so in tune with their emotions, and they were so captivating just as themselves, not speaking. And that's exactly what we needed. And the most amazing thing is Levi, the German, the one that's going to execute the smoking one. Yeah. Levi, that was his first time ever on set. Never acted before. So he's going to be a sensation, I think.
Yeah, he's been acting much more after Ashes. Yeah, it's really good.
That's cool. Yeah, I do find because since you've been stressed it multiple times, it is a non-dialogue film, so it's all about like the acting. Yeah, I do find it's very natural, even though it was the first time actor. Has done an amazing job, I have to say.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was the way I directed it was I just did pre-circumstances, honestly. Like I did pre-circumstances and I just worked with them about where they're coming from, really, and what to put in their body, but it's all them. It's all them. They were just so, I love them so much. They did so good. And again, remember too, this is his first time on set, and Riley acted as a kid, so it's been a while since he's been on set, and this is 35mm film, one take only. So it was high stakes, and
Mhm.
they knocked it out of the park.
So there's no cut in between. It's just one take.
One take. I think there was a few takes where we did two. There was a few takes we did two, but we were constantly calculating the feet. By we, I mean not me at all. Seaway and his amazing team of magicians were calculating how much feet we have left, how much feet we have to get the big part, whatever. So it was, and we only shot in 2 days, 2 8-hour days. So
Right. I think also a lot of credits go to Daniel. I mean, as a director, was this two amazing actors. I think was the limitation of this film. We basically have to force to rehearse a lot, which like is not that common nowadays. I just remember seeing Daniel on set, like having private conversation with the actors, and they being very intimate and being very vulnerable together, the director and also the actor. And I guess it's also kind of difference or like different experiences in performing, because you have to hold a little bit, because we have to rehearse a little bit. Then after everybody, all technical departments are ready, we go for the take. So yeah, it was a pretty interesting experience. Yeah.
I bet it has to be rehearsed a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like, how many rehearsals have you done? Have you ever remembered? Tons of rehearsals.
A lot.
I don't know. Mostly the rehearsals are just so all the technical things are, you know, goes with like the actors are not going to give any of their performance, and then so then when Seaway, and I mean we would do it 10 times if needed, right? Just to get the camera movements or whatever. But this when Seaway looked at me and said, "We're good," then I would go to my actors and I would have my final moment with them, and then we would take our time, and then when they were ready, I would give them their time, and then we would just roll, and it was one take. It's crazy. What a crazy experience. We haven't thought about this in a while.
Would you like to try again, making the film using one take? Certified.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I want to do 100 more of these no dialogue 3-minute films. It's just and you can do it, you know, it doesn't need to be some big budget 35 millimeter thing. It could be on your cell phone, but the if you put the same effort into it and everything, the education that you get from it is priceless. It's
What about Suwei?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to make anything with Daniel.
All right, cool. Right, let's pivot to the film, because there's one details I'd like the audience to really know about. There's one scene that I believe something important happened, and there was flies dropping off like from the sky, and I believe there's a shortcut of one of the fly, but I don't know what language is upon it. I believe it's German, but I know nothing about German. So could you please tell me and tell the audience what is that flies about?
Sure. Those flies were in German, and that shot is like a close up. Our production designer made those pamphlets, and he referenced how at the end of the war, the propaganda pamphlets were like historically like very realistic, and basically what's on the pamphlet was just like a propaganda asking the German soldiers to surrender, because it's at the very end of the war and they're about to lose. But partly because the limitation, but also we had the confidence making this film that we will have some sort of mutual understanding on what this is about. We know we doesn't necessarily know the textual information on it, but we know at that moment it's something dramatic, something changing. And we believe at that point, as long as that understanding is solid, there's no difficulty understanding the story. So we thought it's a poetic moment, and it was more like a style, and also with the limitation, but we believe it served the story, and we were confident to not put subtitles and stuff.
Yeah, very well said, Siwa. Yeah, it was just that idea that something was changing. Something is changing. And that end shot where they're both standing face to face and the flyers are dropping and it's that idea that one is the prisoner, one is the guard, but in the drop of a hat, they switch roles. They're going to switch roles because all of the German Nazis are going to become the bad, the prisoners, and it's like it's just the idea that these boys that have no point being there are now just face to face, and things are changing, and yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, there's a multiple kind of magical moments like happening inside the film, even though it's amazing that it's just 3 minutes, but you can see the relationships is changing. And I don't know, as you said, the power is taken back and have been taken back by another characters. And I do find it's very massive, wonderful job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's so kind.
Yeah.
I'm very, very, very extremely deeply proud of this film. Yeah, and Seaway is just he's the best. Forever, forever, forever the best.
Right. Is there anything you'd like to talk about regarding the film, regarding the production anyway? Anything more? Anything more?
Well, I mean, the rest of our team, like, I just want to say that the rest of our team, Simon Gao and everything, he's our production designer. Simon Gao was our production designer. He was our costumer. He did everything all alone. He had no one. And historically accurate World War II films for a $5,000 budget is insane. And Simon cares very much, and he's a true artist, and he's a historian and all this stuff, and he did an incredible job turning that building into a burned out, blown out building. Everything's fake in there. Everything's like it. Yeah, it's all, everything is fake. And it was just incredible. And our producer Sophie, and it was just our team and what we accomplished in those 2 days. I'm just very proud of everyone, and it was magic watching Seaway work with this stock 5222, which it has very I don't know anything about, but it has like these like very the latitude Seaway or whatever,
very narrow. Yeah, it's
very narrow.
Yeah.
And watching him and his team with their light meters measure every single dab of light on the wall before we shot, and every single shadow and and that it was like wizards. It was just the most amazing experience, and I'm just so proud of everyone, and very grateful that you are showcasing the film for us. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout outs to our collaborators, Ben, the editor, Sophie, producer, Simon. They're all fellows at FI, and they very, very focused, and they care about their own craft so much, and they help really put this story together. Like, sincerely, I just think this collaboration also made me learn so much from different departments, like production design, and also like when Ben was putting the cuts together, I just learned so much how this became like a better piece was his effort, and also same with Daniel directing actors, and also the co-writing between us. There's just so many beautiful moments that happened that we didn't expect to be there. Like, for example, there was one night we were talking about this term in Chinese called cannon ashes. 炮灰, like, basically is the essence of this, what our movie wanted to speak on. And Daniel just brought on board all his experiences fighting the wall, and we just have this like ideologically like very, very profound, deep meaning behind those two letters in Chinese. And then we kind of, to me, it was an inspirational moment because we kind of found our visual metaphor by just those two words. Our film is named Ashes. It could be the ashes of the cigarettes. It could be the pamphlets as some sort of visual ashes in a way. And also we were imagining this two kids, all those young kids, young soldiers being sent to this machine of war, and their lives were burnt. Like, they were in some sense, ashes as well. I think those were some beautiful moments making this film that inspired me and also give me the opportunity to learn from my talented collaborators. Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, as you said, it's ashes about everything. And there's even imaginary ashes because there is an imaginary cigarette has been put out.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, cool. So just one additional question, I believe is to Siwei, because you've said that the film wasn't exactly looks like what you have been first drafted. Could you please disclose a little bit about your first drafted story? How will it be generally looks like?
Yeah, I couldn't remember very specifically right now, but I just remember like the first draft I sent it to Daniel, it was longer than this one. And the smoking kid used to be like a more like older character, like a professor or intellectual, like who we believe at first place could be somebody kind of knows more about the connotation or meaning of freedom and became this figure kind of complicates and also educate the young soldier in a way. But then when we were developing this piece, we just found out we were more into this idea of like the canon ashes, we just mentioned this, they should be similar. They should be like young, they should be like mirrors to each other because yeah, they're like, if in this modern age, they're supposed to be like brothers. If they are from different countries, they should play on the soccer field together against each other, not in a war where they basically burn their lives for nothing. Like the imaginary lie Daniel we mentioned, it's like something are like all the politics made it up. It's not theirs. We are like very similar to each other. So I remember our draft being changing in that way, which I think was a great change. But also I just remember structurally how much Daniel have formed it to become like what it is today. We have all these limitations. It's almost impossible to have like a story arc in 3 minutes without dialogue. But magically Daniel did that. I was so proud of him in doing that because I it's really something I'm not good at. I have all the ideas and the themes we want to touch on, but eventually Daniel achieved that also with this beautiful structure and all the themes and the meanings we want to pass on were kept. Yeah.
Thank you, Siwei, and beautifully said. I just also want to say that Siwei was never a writer before this, and he was never in the production side of like development or besides cinematography, obviously.
Right.
And he was the leader of this project as designed by AFI. And he was up against, someone like me who, this is what I do, like I do writing and I do directing, whatever. And he never gave up. He never gave up no matter what. He would always tell me, he's like, I don't think it's right. And he would fight and fight. And even though I would prove, I'd be like, this is right. And this is right. And this is why this works. And this is why this is justified. And this follows this and this. And he'd be like, it doesn't feel truthful to me. And I would get, overwhelmed, not whatever, but but then I would realize, oh my God, he's right. Like, and listening to your collaborators and he constantly challenged it. And then it just got to this point where we're constantly challenging each other and the story and the script and everything. And I just commend him so much for being such a fearless creative, because he so easily could have been like, well, I'm not a writer, I don't know, but he knows story because he's amazing, and he deserves all the credit. So that's it.
Good for you too. I mean, it seems like an imaginary collaboration.
Yeah, it's very special. I miss it.
Cool, right. Thank you so much for your time. And unfortunately, you have to end up this interview. And
Sure.
Ashes, as we've been discussing, is a really amazing film, and I do recommend to anyone. And it would be screened offline on 16th of June at the National Science and Media Museum in Bradford, England. Yeah. and accompanied by the 1916 classic, The World of Susie Wong as well. So if you'd like to know more about the screening, please visit our official website or our social media or the website of the venue. So, and that's, thank you again to Siwei and to Daniel. Very incredible crew. And thank you so much for bringing Ashes to us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you to
Amazing.
Odyssey as well. It's been incredible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.